Hey guys, it's Charlene. Today I'm going to share with you this gorgeous card I made using some of the products from the brand new Heartfelt Harvest release. It is gorgeous. We are going to start out here with the lovely layers wood vase, and I'm going to cut this out of some Desert Storm Neenah cardstock. That's going to give me a nice kind of light brown layer to start with, and then I can add some darker brown inks to it to just sort of bring it to life and give it a little bit more of a 3D look. This vase can be used two different ways. You can use it like I'm going to as a flower vase, or if you turn it on its side and use the other piece from the die set, you can make it look like it is a wood log that is sitting on its side. So I've got that ink on there, giving those edges a real nice dark color for that 3D look. And then I'm going to come in here with the lovely Layers Autumn Bouquet. This set contains several different autumn florals. It also has a few kind of pieces like this is some wheat, and then there's some cotton, just a few different things that would look really nice in a autumn or fall floral bouquet. So I've started out here by cutting 4 of the pieces of wheat, and I'm using some nice yellowish orange ink here to give me that nice wheat color. And then I'm actually coming in with some martini, which is kind of a greenish olive tone, and that's gonna add that little bit of green on the wheat stems to make it look more real. This first flower is a safflower. So again, I'm going to cut 2 of these out. You can see you have the stem and leaves piece, and then separately you have the bud piece that's going to go on the top of those stem and leaf pieces. So I'm going to color these stems here in some martini, and then I'm actually going to bring in a darker yellow green, which is grass skirt, just to kind of darken up a few areas there and give a little bit more dimension to those stems. For the yellow flowers, I'm coming in here with some glitz, which is a nice yellow orange. And then I'm actually going to come in and just brush on the top some tiki torch. That tiki torch is a really vibrant orangish red, and it really makes those tops pop. The second floral that's included in this set is Baby's Breath. Now, Baby's Breath generally is white, but you can find it in other colors. And oftentimes florists will dye it for bouquets, so you can do any color you want when you're working with this floral. I decided I wanted to go with a really vibrant fuchsia here, a nice purple. And so I went ahead and gave that a really nice coating on top of there. Next, I'm going to work on the cotton pieces. So you'll have the stem piece here, which I'm using kind of a medium brown. And then again, I'm going to come in with a dark brown. So I've got some over coffee. And then for the dark brown touches, I'm using s'mores. And that's just gonna really kind of darken up the stems of these cotton pieces. For the buds, I'm using some Sandcastle, which is a really, really light brown, and I'm just barely coming it in and giving some color to those little bud pieces. I just want them to look the faintest brown. Now I can go ahead and put together my florals here. I'm just putting a little bit of glue up on those tops of the stem pieces. And then I'm going to use my jewel picker here just to pick those up and drop them right over. It's really super easy to do. They line up great. If I don't get it on there quite right, all I do is just pick up the stem and kind of move them around with my fingers, pinching along the edges. Super easy to do. So I went a little bit out of order here because I had actually already colored these stems for the Baby's Breath, but I didn't like the color I chose. So I redid those in Martini. And now I'm going to come in and I'm going to glue all of the top pieces of the Baby's Breath on there. Really easy. Again, I just dabbed some of the Be Creative glue onto those top pieces and then used a jewel picker to go along and put the pieces on top. So here I decided to create my own third floral here. I went ahead and cut out 2 of the stem pieces, from the safflower. I colored these using Garden Party and Martini and a few yellow greens again. And then I actually cut out the cotton buds and I colored these in using some orange twist and then along the tops using some flame. So a really bright, vibrant orange and then a bright, vibrant red orange. And now I'm going to just go right around the tops of those stem pieces and cut off the excess. And then I can go ahead and glue on what's actually supposed to be cotton buds. I glued those on top there and it made it into this whole new flower. Do I know what kind of flower this is? No, but I thought it looked like a really pretty fall flower. For my cotton stems here, I'm adding a little liquid glue and then I'm actually tapping off onto a tissue just so that I don't get any of that excess glue kind of smooshing out the sides of the stems. And I'm just putting those cotton buds behind kind of how I like them. You don't have to necessarily do these exactly the same way. So my two cotton stems look a little bit different from each other. A fun way to add a little bit of detail to your ink blended die cuts is to come in with some alcohol markers. So I'm using some V09 Copic marker on my purple and I just dotted around on there to add a little bit of texture. And then for my safflowers, I came in with some YR16, which is kind of a yellowish orange. And I just did a little bit of flicking. And in particular, I'm paying attention to where the die has already added that little bit of detail on the floral. I can just run over that with the alcohol marker and it sort of just brings it to life. For the orange flowers that I kind of created, I don't know what they would be considered. I used some YR07. And then for the wheat, I used some YG03. I kind of took that up all the way along the middle part of the wheat pieces. And then lastly, for the cotton buds, I came in with some E00, which is a very, very light tan or beige color. And that all just added a little bit of extra dimension to the blooms and took me very, very little time. So now I can go ahead and arrange my floral bouquet. There is also a leaf die with this set. I chose not to use it for this particular card, but you can see how the wood vase has that slit at the top, which makes it really easy to just put the stems in and arrange everything. Once I had everything how I liked it, I just flipped the entire vase over and I used some highlighter tape, some low tack tape, just to hold everything in place. Made it super easy when I was gluing everything down later. I am in love with this Burlap 3D embossing folder. The amount of texture this folder gives is unreal. So I took a piece of really kind of like lightish gray cardstock here and I 3D embossed it, and look at all of that texture this folder gives you guys. It is the perfect background for any kind of fall or autumn card. For my sentiment, I decided to pull out a previously released set, which is the A Little Note Stamps and Dies, and there's a really nice banner stamp in here, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp this out with some embossing ink, some of the Honeybee Stamps clear embossing ink, and I'm going to heat emboss it with a nice antique gold embossing powder. And the nice thing about this set is that there are dies and then there's also stamps in order to do all of the different layers of this banner piece. So you could do it either way. I wanted the stamped with the gold embossing powder. So I've added the powder. Now I'm just melting everything. And once I get that done, I can put it right back in my MISTI and stamp my sentiment. I'm going to go with a very classic Hello Friend. And it looks really nice on this banner piece. Same kind of process. Once that's done, anti-static powder tool, Honeybee Stamps clear embossing ink, and then coming back in again with the antique gold powder. And it doesn't mess it up at all to do the sort of like two different steps of heat embossing. It works just fine, so you don't have to worry about that. Once I get the embossing powder off, again, just running my heat tool along there to melt the sentiment portion, using the coordinating die again. And I've been using the Bitty Buzz Cutter, which is new to me, and I love how this fits on my desk. I am going to be using that a lot. I'm sure of it. So I've die cut that out, and now I can put my whole card together. This is an A2 size card, so it's 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And I've cut down the burlap embossing folder piece so that there's about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And then I'm just gluing that with some of the Honeybee Stamps glue directly to my card base. Then for my vase and floral piece here, you can see on the back I've added several little squares of adhesive foam and then a few strips along the bottom portion where the vase is. And then I also added a fair amount of glue in between those strips at the bottom, just so that once it dries, it kind of holds all of those stems in place. Once I had all that done, I can just place it right on the front of the card, and then I can go about going around and popping up the various florals that I want to have a little bit more dimension. And I just do that by going in and adding a small adhesive foam square behind any of those ones that I want to be popped up. I can also come in, and if I feel like anything is kind of loosey-goosey, I can just put a little bit of the clear glue on the backs there and kind of hold it down here and there around on the card. For my sentiment, I just added some foam tape on the sides of the banner and popped it right over the top of the vase, and it works perfectly there. Next, I am coming in with these gorgeous Homestead Harvest gem stickers. These go so well with the entire collection, and I'm going to use the beautiful dark brown gems in a couple of different sizes just to add a little bit of bling to the card. I like to do this in odd numbers, so I'm going to put 5 on the card, and I also like to do it where on one side of my sentiment I have a little triangle, and then on the opposite side I like to have 2 additional gemstones. So you get almost kind of like a little arrow of gemstones from left to right. Sometimes I do it from the other direction. It doesn't really matter. But that finishes off this gorgeous card. All right, guys, please be sure to like and subscribe, as well as hit that notification bell so that I can continue bringing you more crafty content in the future. Until next time, happy crafting.